Hello there, world. This is Old Farmer One here with another Going Medieval beta uh, tutorial. And this episode, I'm going to go ahead and uh, go through the starting options and the best way to start up for your first game. So, take a look at the options real quick. The graphics you'll have to do based on what kind of system you have. Audio, keeping everything up is fine. The game uh, uh, settings here. You can change the size of the UI. I chose small. I'm going to go ahead and raise that up to large so that way you all can see it. The autosave here every day seems to work pretty well. Days are long in this game, but they're not long enough where if you happen to lose it, it'll make you want to stop playing. So every day is good. You can change it so it takes a little longer, but every day seems to work fine. Temperature units comes by default on Celsius. I am in North America, and we use Fahrenheit generally in my area. Camera sensitivity I don't really need to deal with. I like the mouse scroll on the edge of the screen, so I turn that on. That means when you're on the map, when you put your mouse over to the side, it'll scroll over. So, keyboard configuration, I didn't change anything here, but you can, in-game, look up the configuration and find those buttons that you lost and you don't remember what they are. So, that's it for options. Go ahead, hit this new game button, and you have three different scenarios to select. Standard, this is your basic run-of-the-mill game. You will get raided, and you'll get thunderstorms and blizzards and cold snaps and hot weather, but it'll be somewhat balanced with peaceful times. The peaceful one here, that's mostly your creative mode. You kind of go in, and enemies won't attack you. You still have to take care of your settlement, but you won't be getting murdered by barbarians. Wow, by other people. And then survival, that's kind of your hardcore mode. The enemy raids happen a lot, and their difficulty gets worse over time. So if it's your first time, it's standard. You also have another slider here from very easy to hard for difficulty, so you can amp these up. So normal and standard is probably the way they intend you to play the game, so that's how I recommend we start. So we go to next here. Our starting conditions screen, we've got two of them here that we can select that come with the game. A new life, that gives us the starting conditions of starting in spring, which is good. That gives you a good amount of resources and a good amount of equipment for each one of your settlers. Lone Wolf is kind of your if you want a challenge, here you go. This is one settler. Starts with just a little bit, 3 meals in middle or at the beginning of winter, with some equipment. It's a little bit harder. Wouldn't recommend that for the first one. There is a option to create your own custom one, custom scenario. So you can go in here, select the starting season. You can select the number of settlers you have. So if you want 50 of them, I don't know if it goes that high, but if you want 10, you can have 10. If you want 1, you can have 1. And then go down here to the add conditions, and you can say what kind of resources that they have. Say we want them to have some hay. We'll just add that, and then you can change the number here. So that would mean the initial stockpile has 100 hay. You can add all sorts of conditions in here, and equipment, settler constraints, so you can say that the age range is let's see, 60 to 60 if you want some older folks. You can choose things like force gender. I mean, you can go like that. So that is all female. So if you want all women in your game, then you can do it that way. I think having the mix is good. But anyway, this is just an extra thing that you can play with. You can set up scenarios and, just try things out. So for your first playthrough, A New Life is probably going to be where you want to go. Good and balanced, and this is the recommended scenario for first-time players. So this second page on the scenario thing, it lets you name your settlement here. You can randomly choose one like this by hitting the randomize button, and you can also type in whatever you want. Oh, I'll type in home. Right here is your custom or your heraldry. You can randomize it, and it'll take a look. If you can see there, I've got my channel logo on there that I set up with the custom editing page. I've got a video tutorial on how to do that. If you'd like to see it, I'll try to add a link in here right here. But you can randomize it. It's kind of a neat system. Wow. Now I'd have to go back and get mine back. Yeah. Anyway, the next part here on here is the map types. So there are 3 different map types, as you can see on the screen. There are 3 different starting spots. We've got a valley, a hillside, and a mountain. The valley is kind of flattish land with trees and plenty of bushes and mushrooms and that kind of stuff. So plenty of resources to eat. You've got a good amount of, or a moderate amount of limestone, and not so much gold, silver, iron, and salt. So it's a good place to try it out. I did my first playthrough in the valley. That's pretty nice. The hillside here is kind of more rocky. It's got more limestone and clay, and it's got a little bit less of the fertile soil and vegetation. That kind of seems like a middle ground to me. And then, of course, a mountain which has lots of your ores and ores, stones, iron, silver, and you've got a lot less places to plant stuff, fertile soil, and vegetation growing in the wild. So that's seems like it'd be the harder one to deal with, but towards the end game, it would probably be quite nice. The hillside here in the middle is kind of a middle ground, and you've got some defenses. I feel like this is probably a good place to start. So we're going to select that, and we go on to the settler menu. Now, depending on which scenario you selected, you'll have some constraints, but it's all pretty similar. We've got 3 settlers on this, and you can name them up here, and it's got a little picture of them. If you hit this randomize button, you can get a new settler. But what you're looking at here is their skills and their perks. The religious alignment is kind of an interesting thing too. But I'm going to real quick go over what all the skills are and the basics of what they do. So animal handling here at the top, it covers taming, feeding, training, and hunting animals. I don't really think most of that is implemented in the game. The hunting animals is, but mostly what you need is somebody who can hit a deer. So marksman's kind of more important. So right now, Animal handling is not the most important, but it probably will be as the game develops. Botany is a pretty important one. It's it's chopping trees, planting stuff, picking berries. This is food and gathering wood supplies. So yeah, it's a good skill to have. Carpentry, that's just building your uh, building your beginning of the game kind of weapons and stuff. Um, so bows and cudgels and that kind of thing. It's not a bad skill to have at the beginning. It's not critical. Construction. Now this is your building speed. So if you have a higher construction, your buildings will get built quicker. Also increases your speed at bricks and cutting rocks and that kind of stuff. Construction is good. It'd be good to have a good amount of points there. So the next one, culinary. So that's cooking. Um, it's nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing in the kitchen. Um, it may increase the speed a little bit, and that's probably about it. I think there are more advanced recipes that you need the skill a little bit higher for, um, but pretty much anybody can cook. So I wouldn't use that as a sticking point on whether you're going to keep or not keep a settler. Intellectual, that is doing research. It's pretty important. Research is how you unlock things in the game. You want to get that you want to get research done, and you want it done fast. So you're going to want at least one settler with a nice high intellectual. Marksman, that's hitting stuff with bows. It's one of the more critical things that I've found in the game so far. Is if you have a lot of bowmen or bowwomen, a lot of archers, you can take on raids a lot easier. Hunting, it becomes easier. It's a pretty good skill, and that's one of the things I look for when I pick my settlers. Um, Next one is medicine. That's healing people and healing themselves. Um, it's pretty important. It's probably good to have at least one person with a decent medicine, um, so they can help out everybody else. Uh, at least kind of middle of the ground, uh, you know, 7 to 10 at the beginning would be great. Um, you're going to hope that you don't have a lot of healing that needs to be done, but it's going to happen. Melee. It's good to have a melee skill for when those raids actually make it inside of your wonderful new colony. So, um, if somebody doesn't have marksman, let's hope they have some melee. But it's definitely a good add-on on one. It's not 100% critical on anybody, but it's a good skill to have. Mining. So it's important to have some kind of mining. People will learn that as they go, but the speed, of course, would be affected by the mining skills. So mining would be good to have. Smithing is the same thing. We're building uh, weapons and armor out of metal. Uh, it's pretty important later on, and as a matter of fact, you need a little bit of smithing, at least 20 points in it to get the final part of the research tree for the intellectual, because the bench requires some things at the smith. Speechcraft. So I don't know how much of this is implemented in the game, but it's to help with bargaining, cheering people up, and turning enemies into allies. I haven't seen this really work, but I wouldn't be surprised if that right there is affecting the mood of your settlers. So it's not critical, but it right at this point, but it's a good one to have. And then of course the tailoring skill, that's for people to make cloth clothing, and I believe leather armor is in there too. Uh, it's good to have skill on there, and it's not 100% critical at the beginning of the game. So those are the basic skills, the ones I to recap real quick, the ones that I really think are important is marksman, intellectual, and botany. Those are the 3 that I would really like to get, and medicine should be middle of the line. So this character right here doesn't have all that much I'm looking for. So hit this randomize button, and now she is a 2-star marksman with 22 points. That's awesome. She can hit things. And just to point it out, the star system here, 1 star the settler is passionate about it, and they'll get 2.5 times more XP when they're doing that skill. So if they've got 2 stars, they'll get 4 times the XP. So modesty here will get 4 times the experience when she's shooting the bow, and she's already got 22. Modesty is fantastic. Let's see what else she has. So she has a rare intellect. She could even be called gifted. She learns extremely quickly. So she's got plus 15 XP gain, and she's got a plus 5 intellectual. So she has got some good stuff. She cannot hold her drink. So that's the next thing we should probably talk about here is perks. They can be positive, they can be negative, they can be real bad or really good. This isn't too bad. We can tell her she's not going to drink, but modesty would be pretty good. She is 41 years old, so she's not that old. I'm almost 41, so that's really not that old. And height and weight, all within fine limits. So I like modesty here. I can go ahead and change her name, but I kind of like that name. Also, the religious, she is a practicing restitutionist. So I believe restitutionalists don't drink alcohol. So her lightweight thing doesn't really matter so much. I could be wrong. But anyway, so we kind of looked through modesty here, and I think she looks good. She also could be a pretty good cook. That gives her a backup of something to do when she's not shooting stuff, because she doesn't want to hunt all the time. But over here we've got the group skills section that shows you the highest skill level of your group. Out of your entire group. So we've got modesty here, and somebody here, Millard, has 20 in intellectual. Let's look down at Millard. Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Okay, 20 in intellectual, and she's got a star there. She doesn't have much for marksman, but she can hit something with a club. She's got 9 in melee. That's pretty nice. All right, so she's a cannibal, though. She is fortified by human flesh. I don't know if we want her just because of that. She's a cannibal who is a ray of hope in otherwise bleak existence. She makes everyone feel better, or she eats them. So anyway, it's a good idea to kind of play around with these random buttons. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Merled, even though she had some stuff that I really liked. Our intellectual now top is at 8, so oh my word, look at that. We clicked it and we got Dwight here. He's a super genius. Got 25. That'd be pretty good. It's also pretty decent at marksman, so he could use a bow and arrow. That's good. So anyway, what you do is you sit around, you play with those. I think the only thing I'd like to see now is somebody with a good amount of botany. So there's 2 stars in botany. Oh, I had 20 there. I had 20. Don't click too fast. So you can spend as long as you want here, or as little time as you want, and get your characters as much as you want. To be honest, if you just took the people who came at the beginning, you'd still have a fine time. But you can set yourself up a little bit better by making sure you have certain skills. And again, I think botany is a pretty important one. Intellectual is a pretty important one. Marksman's pretty good, and a little bit of medicine. So Emma here would actually work great. And then, of course, give yourself a quick check down here. See if there's anything absolutely horrible, like somebody who likes to murder people in their sleep. Don't do that. And then I don't believe the religions really have too big of a effect on it. But if you have all of one religion, restitutionist, and restitutionist, then you only have to have one kind of church to keep them happy. So, that's something to think about too. Just depends on how much time you want to spend here. I hit the next button and it will go over your basics of what you've selected, and you're ready to embark. So I'm going to leave it there. That's just a quick how to set up video. If you like what you saw and you want some more, please like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. And I'll be doing a few more of these in the upcoming days. So thanks much, and you have a great day.